This is called the Rearrange effect. And we'll be creating this effect using Photoshop and After Effects. So let's jump right into it. This is a super simple effect, but the problem is my office looks like this. This effect is incredibly easy when you follow these 5 steps. Step 1 is to film yourself. Come up with a short script, talk to the camera, and film yourself from a variety of different angles. Step 2. After we've recorded our footage, we want to bring that into After Effects. We're going to find each frame that we want to take into Photoshop. Sorry, I'm just wearing a crop top. Don't worry about that. So this is going to be frame 1. Frame 2 is going to be here. Frame 3. So these are all the different angles. Because I had a messy office, all I did was use a blue screen so that way I'm able to cut myself out and replace the backdrop. Let's go ahead and jump into Photoshop. And if you're new to Photoshop, don't worry, we'll take it easy. I'll show you a few basic tools that'll do a lot of the heavy lifting for us. All right, the first shot here is this shot. And the reason I did this is because I want to cut myself like falling into place. And so what I have to do here is I have to extend the background so I can get my feet in there. Grab our crop tool, so you can press C on your keyboard, or the crop tool is over here in your toolbar. And then we are going to extend this out long enough to hopefully get our feet in there. So we're going to generative expand, and then we're going to click on generate. Now that we have my feet in here, we are going to combine these 3 layers. So we're going to hit Command Shift E, grab our selection tool. If you don't see the object selection tool, just click and drag on your quick selection tool. That's going to give you a drop down, and you can see how quickly that's able to select everything that we need. And now with that selected, I'm going to click on the mask and I'm going to generate a mask. And that's exactly what we need. So I'm just going to save this. And now we go over to our frame number 1. And this is where I'm going to be dropping in. So I want to go ahead and clean up this mess. The first thing I want to do is I want to isolate this chair because I want to clean up everything behind it. So I'm going to go back to my object selection tool. You can hit W on your keyboard, or you can select it up here on your toolbar. I'm going to click and drag my backdrop into the copy. And then with that selection still happening, I'm going to activate my mask. So now you see that the chair is isolated from the background. Let's hide that for a moment. Duplicate the background. And this is where things are going to start becoming fun. So I'm going to hit M for my marquee selection tool. And I'm going to go like this. With my marquee tool still selected, I'm going to hit Shift, and that's going to give me that little plus sign. And I'm just going to draw a second box down here just to add to that selection. I'm going to click on this generative fill. I'm not going to give it a prompt. Photoshop is generally pretty good at figuring out what it is that you want down there. So I'm just going to click generate, and we'll see what comes up. Okay, now that it's done, it actually gives you 3 options up here, and so you can click through them to see if there's one that you like more than the others. I kind of like that first one, kind of nice and simple, so we'll go with that one. Now what I want to do is hit L on my keyboard, or I can go up here and select my lasso tool, and I am just going to draw a quick dirty mask around this light. And then I'm also going to include a little bit of this. I'm also going to add this to it. And again, by hitting Shift, you see that little plus sign. So that's going to add to your selection. So let's go ahead and try doing another generative fill and then click generate. Okay, I think I like that first option again. The reason why we duplicated this background is so that way we can see where we started and where we're headed. And you can see we're already starting to clean this up quite a bit. So let's continue with the lasso tool, and we're just going to draw a circle around this guy here, the printer, and get rid of that printer. So it gave me 3 options, but if you don't like any of them, just click this generate button. It'll create 3 new options for you to choose from. I'm going to hit M for my marquee selection tool, and I'm just going to draw a box around this whole thing. Again, generative fill and generate. And you can see that I'm not adding any prompts, anything like that. Just super simple. I kind of like this brick wall, but I want to see some more options. So these 3 dots here in this option, you can click generate similar. It'll give me 3 options based off that brick wall. I actually kind of like this clock, and again, we'll kind of base it off that, so we'll generate similar. Okay, I think I like this one the best. I kind of like this one too. Is this weird to have this like bike up here? I'm gonna go back to my lasso tool. You can hit L on your keyboard, or you can select it from your toolbox here. And I don't like how cluttery this is down here, so I'm just gonna draw a quick selection just like this. And then I'm gonna click generative fill and generate. All right, now what else can we clean up over here? This whole side is pretty messy here, but I think the only thing I really wanna get rid of is maybe this for now. I don't know why I put in half an orange there, but man, if only I can get Photoshop to clean up my house. Maybe I can get rid of all this dust back here. Let's try it. If you're a little messy like me and you decide you don't want to do any cleaning, just, take a picture of it, put it into Photoshop, and Photoshop will clean it for you. 30, and after the made, let's keep moving. And you can see we're still under the lasso tool. This allows us to draw a pretty organic selection other than just a box. There's a little bit of an artifact right here, so I'm just going to make this selection, and then we'll generative fill. You can see that we have a lot of layers. So with that top layer selected, don't select the chair, but select the layer right underneath that, and then go all the way down. Don't select the background, and then I'm going to hit Command E, and that's going to merge all those layers together. So now you just have the one layer. So if you hide it, you can see where we started and where we're at. So this is much easier than cleaning your house. Just do this. Unless your mother-in-law is coming, then you should probably really actually clean your house. So now that we have a starting point, I know this is our starting point. Hit V on your keyboard for the selection tool. Let's click and drag and then go over to frame 3. Hold down Shift, let go, and then I'm gonna take down the opacity here just a little bit. And then I wanna make this a little bit bigger. And I'm just looking at these two squares and the robot here in the middle. Okay, that's probably close enough right there. Let's go ahead and hit enter. And then let's take the opacity all the way back up. And this is gonna be our frame 3. And then let's close this out and we are gonna go to frame 2 now. And as you can see, we have our work cut out for us. Same thing here, we wanna drag this into our copy. Okay, now this is where we want to go back to our lasso tool. Really the only 3 tools I'm using are my selection tools. So I'm using my quick selection tool, also my object selection tool, my lasso, and my marquee selection. You can see how simple we're getting with Photoshop. With simple tools, we're able to do a lot here. All these things on the desk though, I think I want to clean up. I made a pretty big selection there. And as you can see, it had a hard time. Sometimes when you give it too big of a selection, it just confuses it and doesn't know exactly what to do with it. So I'm just going to select this layer and hit delete. And then I'm just going to start grabbing smaller sections. You can see that's much better. Let's grab all these cables here. Okay, I think we can do with that. Click the second layer there. I'm going to scroll all the way down, shift and click that last layer. I'm going to hit Command E. And that's going to collapse or merge everything into the one layer. And so now you can see the difference between where we started and where we're at. Okay, let's go ahead and save this and then close that up. In order for us to animate all these elements coming in, we're going to have to separate them. So we're going to have to give Firefly a frame 1, Command Option Shift W. This is going to save as a JPEG. We want to go all the way up to quality 7, frame 1 with elements. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we want to get rid of all these little elements. Click Generative Fill, Generate, and this is going to remove those clocks. So basically, we just want to clear off everything. And then Adobe Firefly is going to see the first frame with none of these decor elements in it. And then it's going to see the last frame with all the decor elements in it. So again, just using my selection tool, I'm just lassoing, clicking Generative Fill. So pretty simple. Something I want to point out here is if you do get to a spot where you've kept removing elements and then you realized, oh man, there's a big old blob right here, just go back to that layer. And then you still have your options that were generated for you. So if one of these looks a little bit less, use that. But if not, you can always click generate and it's going to give you 3 new options to choose from. You always have the option to go back and try different options if you need to. If you do go back to generate another layer, you always want to go back to the top before you start generating. Otherwise, your new generations might be covered up by the top layer. Looks like I'm moving out where I just barely moved in, but that's exactly what we want here. Let's go ahead and click Command Option Shift W, and this is going to save it as a JPEG. Step 3, Let's go to firefly.adobe.com, and then we are going to go over to generate, and then we're going to generate video. And under video, let's go ahead and make this a widescreen, 16:9, 24 of 5 seconds. First frame we want to add without the elements. This is going to be our first frame. And then last with the elements, because we want everything to animate in. And then I'm going to try without giving it a prompt, and we'll just see what it generates here. That didn't really do what I wanted it to do. So let's try giving it some prompts here. Animate the core elements falling into the frame and have them land in their assigned place. I'm going to open up ChatGPT, and then I'm going to say, help me write a prompt. And then I'm going to paste that prompt in there. He said, static camera shot of an empty office interior. Individual decor elements naturally fall into frame from above and off screen, one by one, falling with controlled motion and landing precisely in their assigned positions. Objects fall realistically and naturally. Okay, let's go with it. So we are going to download. Okay, now let's go ahead and go back to After Effects. Let's double click here. I'm just going to add a quick mask. Hit M for mask, and then we're going to set that to subtract. So I'm going to change this over to subtract again. I'm going to go into this layer, and I'm going to double click on it, and I'm going to go into my brush, roto brush tool, and I'm going to select me here. And then I'm going to go over into my refine edge tool, and then I'm just going to draw a line around my hair. Okay, and then I'm going to go back up a couple of frames. Just make sure everything's still tracking the way it's supposed to be. Looks like it is. Gonna back up a couple more frames. Okay, that looks really good. Let's go back to the opposite way now. Now that we're happy with that, I'm gonna freeze those frames. So that way when we scrub through the timeline, it's not having to redraw every frame. So there's several ways to cut me out. This first one, I'm going to actually using the roto brush. I'm going to do a rotoscope. We'll do that for this frame. And then for the other two frames, I'm just going to use the key light effect and key that out. All right, let's go back to project here. Double click in our project panel. We are going to bring in our jump. We are going to bring that into here. And then we're going to move this forward just a few frames because we are going to hit Option P for position, and then we are going to go back to the beginning. We are going to turn the motion blur on. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's go back to our project here, and then I'm going to double click. I'm going to go to frames, Firefly, and then I think the best one, not that one, Office 3. So let's go ahead and open that one. Let's bring it into here and then hit S for scale, bump that up to 200. I think I like that. I'm just going to bump myself down a few frames just so that way we start seeing some of this other animation. I think I'm going to mess with the timing of this animation a little bit. So I'm going to go over to time, enable time remapping. So I want to get the midpoint. Let's go about here, set a keyframe, and I want these to happen a lot sooner. So let's go ahead and go all the way to here. Select this, which is me dropping in, and then I want to bring that all the way to there. And then I'm going to select that middle keyframe under the time remapping, and then I'm going to hit F9 for easy ease. I'm just going to trim this layer. So this is our animated movie from Firefly, and then these two are our footage of me falling down. This is just a adjustment layer, so this is just color. That looks pretty good for shot 1. Let's go over to shot 2, and this time we're going to remove the background a little bit different. We are going to be using the key light effect. So under your effects panel, go ahead and search for key light, and then go ahead and drag that onto our layer. I'm going to use my eyedropper for the color. So now what I want to do is grab my pen tool or hit G on my keyboard, and then I'm just going to draw a mask. That's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and bring in our second frame. We'll bring it in as footage, click open, and then bring this underneath. Right click on it and go to time, freeze frame. So I'm gonna have to pre-compose this. So Command Shift C, move all attributes, copy this, double click on that, and then paste that adjustment layer in here. Then make sure it's visible. That looks good. Let's go back to our main composition here. And you can see that we have to shrink our key light effect. So double click into that. Go back into our effects. Let's see, shrink. Let's go negative. And that looks good, but we used the wrong frame here. So let's bump that down and let's bring in the right frames. Now let's bring that in. Let's right click on it, go to time and freeze frame. Why do I keep pulling in the wrong frame? Why does it keep... Oh, you know what? Sometimes when After Effects glitches like this, that's supposed to be a different frame, but it's not. Usually it's because of a RAM issue. So go to Edit, Purge, All Cache. This will delete all 100 gigs from your disk cache. Click OK, and hopefully this is going to reset that frame. Back in our project panel, let's double click and bring in our second frame. Okay, so now double click again. We're going to bring in our last frame. Let's bring this in as a composition. Retain layer sizes. Here, same thing. I'm going to look for the key light effect. I'm going to drag that onto this layer. And then I'm going to select this blue. D-spot black. D-spot white. Shrink that just a little bit. Then I'm going to copy this top layer. This is the adjustment layer with the color. And then I'm going to Command-Shift-C. Double click in here, paste, move into place, color, and then here we want to create a mask here. So I'm going to grab my pen tool, and then I'm just going to draw. Hit M for mask. I'm going to hit a mask path. I'm going to select this layer, hit O to take it to the end of the clip, and then I'm going to select our background layer, and then I'm going to hit Option close bracket, and that's going to trim the layer. Now what I want to do is I want to export each frame because I want to create transitions from one frame to the next. Here I'm going to hit B and N because I only want this one frame exported. So now I'm going to hit Command Control M. That's going to open up my render queue, and I'm going to click this output module, and I'm going to select the format to a JPEG sequence. Transition 1 is what I'm going to call this one. Click Save, Render. Okay, now I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to go over to where this starts. So I'm going to hit B and N again, and then I'm actually going to trim this. And then I'm going to hit Command Control M, and then I'm going to do the same thing under Format, go to JPEG Sequence, click Save, and then render that out. And then lastly, I want to hit B and N again, Command Control M, you know the drill. Go to JPEG Sequence, click Save, Render, and then this is going to be B and N again, JPEG Sequence, Render. Let's go back to Firefly. Make sure that this is still a 1080 16:9, and we are going to get rid of these frames. So the first one, I'm going to click on, and we're going to make this transition 1, and then under the last frame, we're going to do transition 2. And then we are going to get rid of all of this, and we're just going to let Adobe do its thing. So we're going to click on Generate. Once that's done, we'll bring it back into After Effects. After creating those transitions in Firefly, we're going to bring those in, and then I'm going to go to enable time remapping, and I'm going to bring that to about halfway. I'm going to select both those keyframes, hit F9 for easy ease, and then I'm going to select both of those keyframes, and I'm going to drag them out like so. And I'm going to go back, and here I'm going to hit Option close bracket, hit page down. I'm going to select these two layers and then hit open bracket, and that's going to move those two layers over to my playhead. Actually, looks like it stops moving here. So select these two layers and then hit open bracket, and that's going to move those down. And same thing here. It doesn't look like it starts moving for a few frames. So I'm just going to start there. I'm going to select these three and move them over here. Then I'm going to trim those two layers back. Okay, so I'm going to trim this layer here because that's the last frame that it moves. I'm going to hit page down once, select these two layers, and then hit open bracket, and that's going to move them down to my playhead. We'll bring in our last transition here, and same thing. I'm going to go over to time, enable time remapping, and then I'm going to bring this down to about here. Select both of those keyframes, hit F9 for easy ease, and then I'm going to move these out just a little bit like that. Go back to my animation, and find the frames where they stop. And then I'm just gonna hit Option close bracket, that's gonna trim it there. Option open bracket, that's gonna trim it there. So I wanna go to the end of this layer. So select the layer, hit O, that's gonna take you to the last frame. And then select these two layers and then hit open bracket, and that's gonna move it down to the playhead. Okay, so let's take a look here. And then let's finish it up. Let's go ahead and add a title on here. So select our text tool or our Command T. Okay, Montserrat, let's go to bold. Hit G for your pen tool, and then we're just gonna draw a mask around this thing. Hit M for mask, and then I'm gonna subtract this. Then hit F for feather, and I'm just gonna feather this out about 5. Option P for position, and then we're gonna move forward a few frames, and then that's gonna move all the way over here. And then let's draw in our mask here. Option P for position on your keyboard, and then let's draw a mask around this thing. Hit M, and then activate that keyframe. Hit U to show all the animated keyframes, and then go K to jump to the next keyframe. And then we're gonna move the effect over to the left, and then the mask, we're gonna leave that where it was. So it'll look like this. For Arrange, we're gonna do the same thing. Draw a mask around it. M for mask, activate that keyframe. Press K to go to the next keyframe. The mask is gonna stay there. Then mask is gonna move back up. We're gonna trim those text elements down. I'm gonna hit U. I'm gonna copy those and paste them here. And then I'm gonna right click on them and then go to time reverse keyframes. I'm gonna move all of these over. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. So copy those, paste, right click on the keyframe, time reverse keyframes. And then lastly, I'm gonna copy those, paste, right click on the keyframes, keyframe assistant, and then try and reverse. And I'm gonna hit F9 for ease ease. Push those out just a little bit, push these out just a little bit. And that's how simple this effect can be to create. If you're still here, hopefully that means you've enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And once again, I'm Julio, your motion sidekick, here to help you out. And until next time, love you guys. Peace out.